And it lays out this over 100 documents that you're referencing that I released, declassified and released, spells out in great detail exactly what happens when you have some of the most powerful people in our country directly leading at the helm, President Obama and his senior-most national security cabinet, James Comey, John Brennan, James Clapper, and Susan Rice and others, essentially making a very intentional decision to create this manufactured, politicized piece of intelligence, obviously a years-long Mueller investigation that cost taxpayers almost $40 million, 2 congressional impeachments, endless smears and attacks against not only President Trump, but his family. He had senior members of his team who were investigated, some arrested and jailed. We had heightened and increased tensions between the United States and Russia. The list goes on and on about the consequences of President Obama and his senior cabinet members politicizing intelligence once again, and I say these words very clearly, to enact what was essentially a years-long coup, subverting the will of the American people in that election in November.
This is my video update on this Saturday, midday, July the 19th, coming to you from Moscow. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with the big story for the day, which is DNI Tulsi Gabbard, who released a report, an investigation into Russiagate, going all the way back to 2016 and going all the way to the top of the Obama administration. So Tulsi Gabbard, she posted yesterday on X, quite a long thread. I will read you the first part of the thread, and then I will read you the final 3 paragraphs of the thread that she posted on X. Americans will finally learn the truth about how in 2016, intelligence was politicized and weaponized by the most powerful people in the Obama administration to lay the groundwork for what was essentially a years-long coup against President Donald Trump, subverting the will of the American people and undermining our democratic republic. Here's how. And she posted a chart, the creation of the Russia hoax, and you can see that chart on your screen right now. And let's read the final 3 parts to this thread from Tulsi Gabbard. These documents detail a treasonous conspiracy by officials at the highest levels of the Obama White House to subvert the will of the American people and try to usurp the president from fulfilling his mandate. This betrayal concerns every American. The integrity of our democratic republic demands that every person involved be investigated and brought to justice to prevent this from ever happening again. I am providing all documents to the Department of Justice to deliver the accountability that President Trump, his family, and the American people deserve. So let me give you the big picture summary as to what Tulsi Gabbard at DNI revealed yesterday. Basically, what Tulsi Gabbard posted on X and the documents that she put online are saying is that that back in 2016, the intelligence community under President Obama, they were telling the Obama White House that there was no evidence of Russian election meddling. And they were presenting this to Obama in his daily briefings. And towards the end of Obama's term, around the November, December timeframe, they presented Obama with daily briefings saying there was no evidence of foreign election interference, no evidence of Russian election interference. And instead of taking those presidential briefings public and letting the American people know, the intelligence community and the Obama White House letting the American people know that there is no evidence of any type of Russian election interference, or foreign election interference for that matter. What happened is that they made those presidential briefings go away. They made them go bye-bye. And the Obama White House, his team, his crew, they got together for a meeting. We're talking about Brennan and Clapper and Rice, Lynch. I believe McCabe was named as well. I want to say Comey, but I don't quite remember. Anyway, a bunch of Obama's team, under the orders, according to Tulsi Gabbard, under the orders of President Obama, they got together to come up with a new narrative. They didn't like the intelligence community assessment and fact that there was no election meddling. They didn't like that, and so they got together to put together a new narrative, and the new narrative that they spun was that there was election meddling, there was foreign interference, and most of it was done by Russia. That's right. Russia interfering in U.S. elections, interfering in America's democracy, and Trump. Trump was a willing stooge, a puppet of Putin. And Russiagate was launched into overdrive, into hyperdrive. They launched Russiagate. They based a lot of this new narrative on the debunked Steele dossier, of which the intelligence community told this group of Obama officials that the Steele dossier was nonsense. It was ridiculous, but they still based a lot of it on the Steele dossier. And then, according to Tulsi Gabbard, they started leaking this new narrative to a very willing and cooperative mainstream media, and you got Russiagate, you got Russophobia, you got Putin meddling in U.S. elections, you got Trump is a Putin stooge, and you got sanctions. They placed more sanctions on Russia, so the United States started to go up the sanctions escalator with Russia. They started to place a lot more sanctions on Russia because of the election interference. Of course, you got Mueller and all of that stuff. And eventually, this took us to the conflict in Ukraine, right? All of this led to the conflict in Ukraine. So that was what Tulsi Gabbard released yesterday from Fox News. Obama admin manufactured intelligence to create 2016 Russian election interference narrative. Documents show there was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government, Gabbard said. Now, we know this was going on. A lot of us already know that Russiagate was a complete hoax. It was nonsense. We understood what was going on, the fake narrative to demonize Russia, to say that Russia was meddling in the election, to try and bring down the first Trump presidency, or at the very least, which they did very successfully, to prevent Trump from any rapprochement with Russia, any type of normalization of diplomatic ties with Russia. And they did this, they accomplished this, they prevented Trump from establishing good, normal relations with Russia. We know that this was going on. A lot of what Tulsi Gabbard has revealed is nothing new, but it is interesting that this is now published, that we're seeing the emails, we're seeing the documentation that was going on, we're seeing the intelligence community briefings to Obama, specifically telling President Obama there is no evidence of election interference. I mean, we've got now the emails specifically saying this. We also have the documentation talking about how they were leaking the BS Russiagate to the media. And of course, the big news is that, according to Tulsi Gabbard's documents that she released, Much of this was on the orders of President Obama. And who was President Obama's vice president? Joe Biden, right? We did a lot of videos, me and Alexander on the Duran, covering Russiagate. A whole lot of videos. And I remember videos that we did specifically on the meetings in the Oval Office, in the White House, where we speculated, we guessed that at these meetings with Obama and Biden and Comey and Clapper and Brennan, that much of the Russiagate hoax was concocted. And they went after, then they decided during these meetings, as the Trump administration was about to enter office, they decided to go after Flynn and derail the Trump administration from the get-go. And we were doing many videos about this. And yeah, it went all the way up to the top. That's how it looks, all the way to the top. Of course, the names listed in these meetings, you don't have Obama present at these meetings. It just says on the orders of the president. These people were directed to come up with a new narrative. I believe Tulsi Gabbard said that this wasn't this was not intelligence gathering. This was narrative creation, narrative spin. That's what Tulsi Gabbard said. I don't know what is going on, but this is bizarre. The Sadovaya is closed for something. Some event must be taking place. Maybe like a marathon or something. Wow, this is amazing. This is amazing. So anyway, that's the big news from Tulsi Gabbard. Great work from Tulsi Gabbard. A lot of people are a bit cynical about this and the timing of this of these documents dropping, given all of the scandal and the cover-up around Epstein. But it is what it is. It's good that we are getting these documents released, and it's good that we're able to read about everything that was going on and the intelligence community assessments under Obama and all of the nasty things that they were coming up with and that they were scheming. And they need to apologize to the American people at the very least, because I don't think anyone's gonna go to prison for any of this. I doubt that. I would be very, very surprised if people go to prison for this, because we are dealing with the untouchable elite class. But man, at least we know now that it was all BS. Everything that they were saying about Russiagate was BS, and we have the documents to actually show it, which I think is pretty incredible to read all the scheming that was going on. So yeah, and this all led to the conflict in Ukraine, man. It all led to the conflict in Ukraine. It started with Hillary Clinton and Robbie Mook, her campaign manager. When they started to push the whole Russia meddling, Obama picked up the baton from Hillary Clinton, and then he passed on the baton to Biden when Biden became president, and then they ramped everything up to provoke the conflict in Ukraine, right? So Russiagate did play a big part in damaging relations between the United States and Russia, and it did play a significant part in taking us to where we are today. So let's talk about Project Ukraine. It's so quiet. usually there's cars up and down, but man, it is quiet. Anyway, Project Ukraine, Seymour Hersh. Seymour Hersh dropped the bombshell yesterday. Probably not going to come as much of a surprise to everyone that follows this channel of the Duran, because we actually did a video last week talking about Zelensky going into exile, that there was a document leaked in Ukraine, I believe a Ukrainian parliament member, or a journalist, I forgot exactly who reported on this, but they were saying that they saw, this is coming from Kiev, that they saw a document detailing plans for Zelensky to evacuate Kiev and eventually to go into exile. And we talked about this on the Duran, and sure enough, we now have Seymour Hersh putting out an article on his Substack with the title, get this everybody, "The End for Zelensky. Washington wants the Ukrainian president to leave office. Will it happen?" Zelensky getting Zelensky cursed. Zelensky getting Zelensky cursed, right? That's basically what we're talking about here. And Seymour Hersh in this article, basically what he is saying is that the United States, they want the Green Goblin gone. They're not happy with the Green Goblin. They want him out. And they believe that Zelensky should step in. I'm not so sure about that assessment, Zelensky, but anyway, this is coming from the Trump White House. And all they're waiting for, the only thing they're waiting for, is Trump to give the green light. Yeah, Trump just has to give his okay, pull the trigger, and the Green Goblin's gone. And the ambassador, the Ukraine ambassador to the UK, who the BBC, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post, all of the mainstream publications say masterminded the Nord Stream sabotage, but that's a whole nother story. That's what they claim. But he would become the leader of Ukraine. That is what Seymour Hersh, according to his sources, is reporting. So Zelensky would go into exile, according to Hersh. That's what would happen to Zelensky. Zelensky is now seen as the most credible successor to Zelensky. I have been told by knowledgeable officials in Washington that that job could be his within a few months. Zelensky is on a short list for exile if President Trump decides to make the call. If Zelensky refuses to leave his office, as is most likely, an involved U.S. official told me, he's going to go by force. The ball is in his court. There are many in Washington and in Ukraine who believe that the escalating air war with Russia must end soon while there's still a chance to make a settlement with its President Putin. If he does not leave voluntarily, then he will be put into exile by force. Podolyak. Is this article by this Hershey guy true? That's Seymour Hersh, Mr. President. Hershey is a candy bar. Oh yeah, I like this Hershey candy bar. It's very tasty. Is this true, Podolyak? I think it is, Mr. President. Oh my God. Oh my God. How's the villa in Miami, Podolyak? Is it furnished? I think we're going to have to move. Yeah. Now we understand. My article from yesterday, that New York Post fluff piece, I would not be surprised if that was a paid sponsorship, paid advertising for the New York Post to interview Zelensky and for Zelensky to kiss up to Trump in a major way, more than Rutte kissing up to Trump, more than Daddy Trump. Zelensky was basically telling the New York Post that him and Trump are compadres. They're one and the same, he said. Now we understand why that interview took place, because Zelensky must have gotten tipped off that the only thing that is preventing him from going into exile is U.S. President Donald J. Trump. That is it. Yeah, so he called in the New York Post and he started to do some serious butt kissing. You're so cool, President Trump. Me and you are the same. We are the same. Please don't send me into exile. Not exile. So I'm going to turn down the audio, all right? Because they have music playing. Very cool. All right, I've been here before. My first day here, I was in front of this building, the Kurskaya Railway. So let's walk down that way. Let's see what's happening. So that's the article from Hersh. By the way, Trump is going to be suing the Wall Street Journal, I think for like $10 billion or something, like an insane amount for that article that they posted yesterday. A very poorly sourced article from the WSJ, which claims that Trump in 2003 he drew a picture, a doodle, of a naked woman wishing Epstein a happy birthday, and there was this exchange, this typewritten. It wasn't even handwritten. It was like a typewritten pretend exchange between Trump and Epstein, which does not sound like Trump, because Trump doesn't use the word. I can't see Trump using the word enigma or stuff like that. So who knows who typed out that exchange? But anyway, Trump claims this is fake. I said in my video update that it seems fake, but I can't verify this, but it does seem fake. Anyway, he's taking the Wall Street Journal and Murdoch to court for billions and billions and billions of dollars. Of course, this is a distraction from the core of the Epstein case, right? It kind of distracts away from the no client list and trying to get to the facts about who Epstein was and the intel agencies involved, and it shifts the story to something totally different. I think that's the way I look at it. But anyway, very windy, by the way, guys. Wow. Let's see how the mic holds up. Man, that was windy. Now we got some rain. We went through a mini storm here at the Kurskaya Vokzal. All right, let's go to the next story. How about we do a quick update as to what is going on with the conflict in Ukraine. Yesterday we had a big Russian drone and missile strike into, let's see, Odessa. They hit an airfield in Odessa, drones and then missiles. They hit their targets because Ukraine's air defenses are are gone. And actually, we're getting news that Germany will deliver a Patriot system. They finally found one Patriot system, and they will deliver that Patriot system in 6 months. 6 months to get one Patriot system to Ukraine from Germany. But the Russian military drones and missiles into Odessa and Pavlograd as well. We had drone and missile strikes into Pavlograd, where, according to reports, the Russian military, they hit military facilities. We're talking about Dnipropetrovsk, that region. So that's a quick update as to what is going on in the conflict in Ukraine. And should we talk about the EU budget? Ursula has announced and come up with the EU 10-year budget. And it's going from 1.2 trillion euros to 1.7 trillion euros. That's right, about a 40% increase. That is what Ursula is asking for, and the EU member states, including Germany, absolutely Hungary and Orban, they are not happy about this budget. A lot of analysts are saying this budget is DOA. It is not happening. Basically, what Ursula is asking for, what the Commission is asking for, is for massive amounts of spending on military, on the MIC, on climate, and on tech. That's where the spending is going to go over the next 10 years in Europe, in the EU. A lot of spending on military. Orban actually came out with a statement and said that the budget is basically a way to get Ukraine into the European Union and to continue to fund Ukraine and to fund the Ukraine military. The budget has 100 billion for the Zelensky regime, but Orban is basically saying that tucked away in this massive budget is more money to the MIC, and all of it is meant for Ukraine, and also money to basically push Ukraine into the European Union. And Orban says it's a disaster. So that was what Orban said. 20% of the EU's new 7-year budget will go to Ukraine. 10 to 12% goes to debt repayments. That is a statement from Orban. Merz hates this budget. Merz absolutely hates this budget. He does not like this budget because in the budget, Ursula is calling for the taxation of large businesses in order to get some revenue. And Merz is saying, no way is this going to happen. You see what she's trying to do? She's trying to get EU-wide taxation on businesses, more EU-wide taxation on businesses going, more centralization to Brussels in order to raise money, because the EU has no other ways to raise money for a bankrupt union that is about to spend 1.7 trillion on militarism, climate slush funds, and tech. Tech what? What does she mean by tech? Tech control. Tech control of our lives, right? I can't remember the word that I'm looking for. I can't remember the word. Tech authoritarianism. Tech something. Anyway, yeah. So Merz is not going for this. He does not like the the taxation plan. A lot of countries also don't like that in this budget there is debt burden sharing and debt issuance sharing. So this is the European Union trying to get all of the debt and the issuance of debt to fall under the European Union, which is something that Germany and Finland and the Netherlands absolutely do not want. But once again, the European Union looking to decentralize everything. Decentralize everything and to eventually get to a point where they can issue Eurobonds, right? They can issue debt. And the entire EU, all the EU member states would be on the hook for that debt. Armstrong Economics posted on X, the European Union has proposed a 2 trillion budget over 7 years with a focus on military defense spending. Again, Brussels is proving that when governments face internal collapse, they do not turn towards reform, rather they turn towards militarism. Politico is saying von der Leyen's plan to tax EU business looks doomed from the start. Proposed levy on corporate revenues has been almost universally panned and appears unlikely to get the backing it needs. Meanwhile, in France, they are presenting a budget which is causing all kinds of anger, because basically it reveals that France is broke. France is broke, and they are looking to cut social spending in order to fund militarism, basically. And by the way, Ursula is also doing the same thing. In order to get this budget through, she is saying that there's going to have to be a cut in agriculture, so the farmers are going to pay the price, and also a cut in money sent to local municipalities. So in order to fund the military, the climate slush fund, and the tech oligarchy or tech centralization or whatever you want to call it, they're going to take away from the farmers, and they're going to take away from money that goes to cities and towns, right? So France is basically doing the same thing. France is going to cut social spending in order to keep spending money on Project Ukraine, right? That's what this is all about. So this is causing a huge uproar in France. Politico says France's budget bombshell is a wake-up call for Europe as it veers towards bankruptcy. As challenges mount and workforces dwindle, much of Europe risks going broke, just not as quickly as France. And it was the Russian economy that was going to be in tatters. Tatters, I tell you. But it's not Russia. It's Europe. It's the EU. It's France. So should we get to a clown world, or do we have any more stories? Let's walk this way. I'm getting too distracted, man. I'm getting too distracted. Anyway, let's talk about Russia's reaction to the EU sanctions before we get to a clown world. Medvedev, he said that Russia is going to continue to win in Ukraine. He said Ukraine's route will continue in his response to the EU sanctions. And Dmitriev, Putin's aide, his economic investment aide, he said that the EU sanctions are meant to hurt Europe more than they are going to hurt Russia. The economic restrictions are destructive to bloc member states, depriving them of stable energy supplies and access to the Russian market, Dmitriev argued. Last year, despite all the sanctions pressure, Russia's GDP grew by 4.3% versus a 0.7% growth in the Eurozone, he said. He's right. The sanctions are meant to hurt Europe more than Russia. That's one of the reasons that they keep on approving sanctions package after sanctions package. It is meant to hurt the citizens of Europe. A wealth transfer to the top, to the center in Brussels. That's what the sanctions are about. And then they're about Russia, but the sanctioning of Russia is more of a ritual than a result. That's my belief on the sanctions. It's the ritual of sanctioning Russia, as well as the goal to transfer wealth and power to the Brussels core. So, Al-Jilani and Israel announced a ceasefire. Actually, Al-Jilani even put out a video statement. Zelensky said that he thanks the United States. This should be my clown world. He thanks the United States for a ceasefire. He got a ceasefire with Israel, and I talked about this a couple of days ago with the Israeli military bombing the Sueda region, Sueda city, they claim in order to protect the Druze. And Al-Jilani claims that he was in some sort of a mini conflict with Israel, and now we have a ceasefire. I don't buy it. I don't buy it at all. But this is how they're presenting it. Al-Jilani in conflict with Netanyahu. I wonder who's buying this stuff, and the United States brokering the ceasefire. Anyway, that's the news, everybody. Can we now get to a clown world? Not yet. The Times is reporting that Trump may be meeting with Xi and Putin in China, in Beijing. China will be celebrating the 80th anniversary of the fight against Imperial Japan in World War II. And Putin has already confirmed that he is going to be at this victory celebration event. And there are many analysts and officials in China who are saying that Trump should be invited. And it would be an opportunity to have Trump, Xi, and Putin side by side on the same stage. What a signal that would send to the world. We don't have an official statement from the Chinese government, whether they're thinking about inviting Trump or whether they will invite Trump. We don't have any statements as of yet, but Putin has said that he's going to attend. I would not be surprised if Xi invites Trump to attend this event. Boy, would heads explode seeing Trump, Putin, and Xi Jinping together in Beijing at this victory celebration. That would be something. The event is taking place in September. So if an invite is going to be extended to the United States, it should be extended fairly soon. And now we can get to a clown world. Now we can get to a clown world. And today's clown world is courtesy of the German publication Bild, which put out an article, and this is Google translated from German, but the article title is, "This is how much the taxpayer paid for traffic light makeup." And Bild is talking about the Traffic Light Coalition, the former government of Germany, which consisted of Annalena and Habeck and Schultz. And basically, Bild did some research and came up with the numbers, the money that was spent by the Traffic Light Coalition, by Baerbock and Schultz and Habeck, on styling, on makeup, on photographers, on clothes, stuff like that. And man, the numbers are pretty big. I believe $500,000 in 3 years is the number that they came up with. Germany's Baerbock spent 250 euros a day on makeup, according to Bild. The country's previous government allocated €500,000 in public funds to styling services between 2022 and 2025, according to the outlet. It's a lot of makeup for Annalena 360. That is a lot of makeup. €250 a day. Wow. In 3 months, from January 1st of 2025 to March 25th of 2025, on styling, Pirate Schultz spent €13,000. Annalena of the Greens spent over €20,000. Who else? Nancy Fraser, the Ministry of Interior, spent €3,700. Habeck only spent €598. The total in 3 months, in about 3 months, was €49,646 spent on styling and makeup for the Schultz coalition government. It's a lot of lipstick and a lot of clothes and photo sessions. Anyway, that's the video, everybody. That is the clown world, courtesy of Build. This is where I end today's video. theduran.locals.com. Let's cross. We are on Rumble and we are on Telegram and X. And go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch. We got free shipping going on. And we got some other deals going on as well, actually. I think we have some coupons as well. Anyway, there is a link to the Duran shop in the description box down below. Take care.